My name is Jay. I'm from Williams Honey Farm. Welcome to my queen breeding yard. We're a small family run operation. We're based in Franklin, Tennessee. And we got yards all over Williamson County and Davidson County. We also do a whole bunch of consulting and teaching for new beekeepers and sort of trying to help motivate and inspire as many people as we can to get into this hobby, get out there and make a difference. And we do a lot of work trying to teach people how you can help bees, what you can do for the environment if you don't want to be a beekeeper, but you still want to support the bees. So that's what we're all about. 1 out of every 3 bites that you ever take is thanks to a honeybee. So pollinators are super important. They're fascinating little bugs. You know, when I first got into this, I thought, oh, it's kind of cool. You know, I wanted to try something different, you know, see why everybody's so worried about them. But in the end, every single day that I come out to this yard or another yard or whatever, this tiny little bug teaches me something new about life, about my job, about how we should, you know, run our families and run the country and interact with each other and take care of each other and work really hard. This little bug teaches me a lesson every single day, and I think it's super important for everybody in the world to understand those lessons, know why bees are important, you know, how they operate, how they make crops grow, how they produce more food, and also, you know, give us that sweet stuff that everybody's in love with. Every single one of these stacks has a queen inside of it, just one queen. And your typical stack, you know, is about 5 or 6, they're called supers, boxes or supers tall. And then, you know, in the peak of the season, there's about 80 to 100,000 bees. Of those 80 to 100,000 bees, 80% of them are female. Females get the job done. We would be nothing without females, and they definitely make a difference. Obviously, a queen is a female, and so if a colony wants to raise a new queen, what they'll do is they'll add extra royal jelly, it's called. Royal jelly is like the nectar of the gods, is what some people call it. And it's just extra goodness, extra protein, nutrients. It's fed to a normal egg, and that egg, since it's fed extra food, it actually grows and develops new organs, and that basically turns into a queen. And then the queen hatches out, and then hopefully she goes out and mates, comes back, and now she's the new leader of the colony. Unfortunately, bees are definitely disappearing at an alarming rate. That's one of the things that we try really hard to do in Tennessee is how do we bring back the populations of honeybees and bring them back in a big way. Bees are disappearing for many reasons. There's really not one, but here's a couple. Bees are disappearing because of a lot of pesticide use. You ever seen those green grass like straightaways in people's front yards? I call them beautiful wastelands because there's really nothing there. There's nothing left for the bees to eat. And they're beautiful wastelands because they're perfectly green grass, right? There's not a single weed there because of all the pesticides that have been used. So that's one reason why bees are disappearing, is because there's a lot more chemical out there, unfortunately, that they're having to combat and deal with. There's also a lot less people, you know, breeding queens. So we have a lot less queen breeders, a lot less people producing queens and bees to help new beekeepers get started. There's a whole lot less forage. You know, we're all building houses and taking over wildland, and unfortunately, that makes a big difference. So there's a lot less of an area for bees to operate. And global warming, I know it's a hot topic, but it's definitely having an impact on our seasons, our nectar flow, and how healthy our bees are, unfortunately. I think one of the biggest dangers of honeybees, and all pollinators for that matter, is we sort of get used to them being in trouble, or we sort of just say, you know, it doesn't affect me today. So you sort of move on with your life. And one of the best things we can do for honeybees is remember that they're in trouble and keep working every single day to make the environment and the countryside, the beautiful countryside of Middle Tennessee, should be more hospitable to honeybees. And that's really something that I'm working on constantly. So there's a lot of different plants that you can use in your backyard to try and help pollinators in general. Like black-eyed Susan's really good. Lanceleaf coreopsis, if you've ever heard of that. Bee balm is great. One of the best things you could do is get something that's perennial, that's going to survive in our different and changing environment. Something that's deer tolerant if you can, and something that just does not need a lot of help. I love plants that I can drive over by accident with my truck and they'll still come back and survive. And those are the ones that I would suggest. One of the best and easiest things that you can do to help the bees starting right now, today, I'll give you a couple, but the first one is treat your backyard like a pet. And what I mean by that is don't just dump a bunch of chemicals back there that you don't know what they do. Read the label on your applications. And if you can hold off on treating your backyard with any sort of chemical, that would make a huge difference. Another thing you can do is create like a tiny little pollinator pit stop, right? Like a 4x8 raised bed garden in your backyard. Plant those perennial flowers that will just come on up on their own all year long. Kind of spread them out, so like have something that blooms in the spring and then something that blooms in the summer and something that blooms in the fall, almost like a tag team. We want to have pollen and nectar available for the bees throughout the entire year. And the easiest way to do that is throw a little, 4x8 raised bed garden in your backyard. Treat your backyard like a pet, really groom it, care for it, and respect it. And if you respect it, you will also respect the bee at the same time.